Good morning, USA. All right, so hi everybody. Uh, I forgot to record. I am very sorry for that. But basically, pretty much, this is the first upload of week numero dos. And what that pretty much means is that, I don't know, more of the same, I suppose. But basically, for this upload, as I mentioned last Friday, yeah, was it Friday or Saturday? Either one of those days, I mentioned how this week I wanted to progress my melodies a bit more, and I wanted to try like just making something that sounds good. So first, I wanted to start with something very simple, and then we'll move on to more beautiful and more complex melodies. And I think I did exactly just that. But problem is, I was having so much fun with this particular melody that I forgot to record. I am very sorry for that. But pretty much, I'll just take you like we're gonna go backwards from where I like what I was supposed to record and be explaining. I'm gonna explain it right here, right now. So, for this song, really short song, which is only like what uh seems to be 9 seconds. Or well, we could just extend like the song and then yeah, make it a bit longer, like make it loop around again. Like I repeated the first two patterns, made this repeat twice, and made this one uh go on a bit longer as if kind of. Wait, actually, how does this sound? Actually, why don't we take a listen? Why don't we take a good listen and see how the song is going, and then uh, I'll explain it to you backwards. And that's basically the song. So, the way I managed to actually do a competent melody for once. How did I do that when I was literally struggling last week and not knowing what to do? If I were to tell you, I don't know. I think just some creative, like, some fucking, like, deity, like, came over and actually, like, helped me focus for once. So, let's start with the first pattern. What I did for the first pattern here is what I did with any other of my songs that I started in the first week. I started with some chords, and also I learned that this thing exists now, so that's very, very useful. That's very useful for writing chords because I was writing these manually before the first starting the week. But that's besides the point. Basically, I started out really simple and just did a basic chord progression that I always do. But as for the main melody, well, I mean, melody part, yeah, the main part, what I basically did was listened to what notes sounded good and repeated them over and over and oh, there's a motorcycle passing by my house. Oops. Uh, I basically repeated the notes over and over and over until it sounded good, right? So it was all really repetition until something sounded good. Oh, oops. So what I mean is with the spacebar, I basically went. I was like dun dun. Okay, that sounds good. Dun dun. What would sound good afterwards? So I played around a little and found dun 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 dun. And one rule of thumb that I kind of did for myself was to always guide myself off of these lines right here. And I always made the melody part always shorter than the like by a bar, like half a bar shorter than the main chords. That also quite helped it quite a bit to differentiate it, give it a bit more different rhythm, and yeah, pretty much from there, just kind of more of the same repetition. Note repetition until something sounded good. Also, heavily getting myself off of these right here. Oops, sorry. Let me put it to none. Like this. Like these whited out and grayed lines helped me a lot because with this I could like know it's a thing that FL Studio comes with that is just an automatic like scale like thingamajiggy of something something music theory stuff. But basically, it just helps you know if your keys are going to be in the right scale. Because this would sound weird. Like, let's take a listen. Like, well, that still sounds good, but hey, doesn't wouldn't sound as good as like with something like this, I think. I guess it just sounds good overall, but you get the gist of it. It helped me really, it helped me a lot through making the melody, so shout out to this feature. Absolutely goated feature. Let's go on to pattern number two. For pattern number two, I basically just did another thing, but was starting to move up a bit. As you can see, well, let's get to the chords first. Chords, pretty much the same. Try just repeated similar notes. Oh yeah, another thing I didn't mention. The way to progress my actual chords, I based myself off of what note was the last note in. Oh my God, I can't speak. Can't really put this into words, but like the last note that I did, I I looked at what note was the last one on the fourth. Shall we call it bar? Fourth bar, yeah, on the fourth bar, and then continued it on the second pattern. So as you can see here, with these first chords, I ended first note of the final chord started on a B3, right? We started on a B3. When you move on to pattern 3, I moved that up a bit. So as you can see, a B3 would be a C4. And then from there, I used that to continue. Because what would be a logical thing that comes after B4? C4. So, there. hmm And as you can see, try to move it up a bit so that the next pattern can also go a bit higher. As for the melody with this, it's more of the same, really. Uh, mhm, Right over here. With this, more of the same. You can see I can start out simple here. But then I got the brilliant idea of slicing it even more. Like starting at another half, using myself off of this line this time, and starting from there. Like, so the notes are more closer together and you get that ta-dun, ta-dun sound. You know? So let's listen to it one more time. Another thing that you might have noticed, pretty obvious to notice, is that I let the main chords kind of also carry my melody, because that was a very big problem that my previous songs were having, that it kind of just didn't blend together. Sure, the chords were good and the notes were correct, but they didn't flow together. So that's one thing I fixed with this, and yeah. Okay, moving on to the third and final pattern. With this, I mhm, I continued on with the same thing. So we started from a G4, so I continued onto an A4 to skip this gray note right here, and just kept going up and up and up. When it when it finally reaches the top, or well, what I wanted to be the top for that part, I move it down a little bit, put a chord down, down more, put back up, more up, the highest, down, down, down. So yeah, kind of like a zigzag pattern of going up, down, but staying at a higher altitude than what I first started with. So that's what I did for the chords on that. And as for the melody with this, I actually started with the melody first for that part, then rather than the chords. So you can see here is where I start to get creative. I wrote these four for fuck, I can't speak. The first four I wrote normally like any other, and then right here where I started to deviate a little bit, and I said, how about we cut it even more, even more, the shortest a note could possibly be, so I can introduce an even higher progression. And, and yeah, that's basically what allowed me. This little note allowed me to transition better into, and then up, up, and up, and the highest note of the entire song. And then when you reach the top, you go down like a mountain. And like that, my whole song is made. Now, I'm considering whether or not to add drums, but that's something I'll do on my own. For now, I think the melody is just fine on its own. The song is honestly my best so far, and this is what I'll end off the video with. I'll update you in the comments if I added some drums and if it sounded worse or not, but for here, this is where I'm gonna end the recording. This really helped me figure out like where I should continue on from with my melodies. So I'm really happy about this. Really proud. I'm really proud about this. I think I did a good job, at least. Well, that's all for this upload. See ya.